Welcome, guys, to this special deep dive where we're going to be looking at all the buzz around DeepSeek.
Yeah,
This Chinese AI startup that everyone in tech seems to be talking about.
for sure.
We've got a whole stack of news articles and analyses here,
Mhm.
and they're all kind of buzzing about this question of,
Yeah,
could this company actually be a threat to U.S. chip makers,
yeah.
like particularly NVIDIA and like the whole AI sector?
I think it's definitely got everyone's attention.
Yeah.
And for good reason.
Okay.
What we're seeing is DeepSeek kind of coming out of nowhere,
Mm-hmm.
releasing these AI models that are being compared to like the big guys,
Yeah.
OpenAI, Google, even Meta.
Right.
And the crazy thing is,
Yeah.
you're doing it for way cheaper, like a fraction of the cost.
Okay, so you're saying they're shaking things up with their pricing.
Yeah.
But like, what is it about DeepSeek that makes them such a potential disruptor?
Okay.
I mean, can you give us some concrete examples of how they might change the industry?
Well, one of the things that has analysts worried is DeepSeek's focus on
Yeah.
cost efficiency.
Okay.
They're building AI models that can run on less powerful and cheaper hardware.
Mm-hmm.
And to understand why that's a big deal,
Yeah.
you got to look at companies like NVIDIA. They've built their whole empire on providing these high-powered GPUs
Right.
that have been essential for running all these complex AI models.
Right.
So if DeepSeek can get similar results with cheaper hardware,
Yeah.
that could really hurt the demand for NVIDIA's products.
So it's not just about offering lower prices for the AI models themselves.
Right.
It's about potentially changing the hardware game entirely.
Exactly.
Wow.
And they're not just doing this on their own.
Yeah.
They've partnered with AMD,
Perhaps, yeah.
another big player in the chip market,
Right.
which could give them even more leverage.
Yeah.
And then here's where it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
DeepSeek's embracing an open source approach.
Okay.
Which is totally different from companies like OpenAI, which use these proprietary models.
Hold on. I need a little clarification.
Sure.
What does open source mean in this context? And why is it such a big deal?
Open source basically means that DeepSeek is making their AI models and tools available for anyone to use, modify, and build upon.
Okay.
It's like a recipe that everyone can access and tweak
Got it.
to make their own variations.
Okay.
And this has the potential to really disrupt the AI market.
How so?
It makes this cutting-edge tech accessible to way more users,
Uh-huh.
including like smaller companies and even individual developers who
Yeah.
couldn't afford the high costs of those proprietary models.
It's like democratizing AI, right?
Yeah.
No more exclusive club just for the tech giants.
Exactly.
But going back to that initial question,
Sure.
is this all just hype?
Yeah,
Or is DeepSeek a legitimate threat to the big players?
right.
I mean, how is the market reacting to all of this?
Well, if you look at NVIDIA's stock price,
Yeah.
it hasn't really taken a major hit.
Okay.
Not yet, anyway. Mm-hmm.
Which maybe means the market isn't super concerned.
Yeah.
At least not yet.
Right.
But there are some signs of nervousness.
Yeah.
Like the NASDAQ composite futures were down over 2% on Monday.
So there's some uncertainty in the air for sure. It's like
Right.
the market is saying, okay, DeepSeek, we're watching you.
Yeah.
We're not hitting the panic button just yet.
Right.
What I'm really curious about is this whole idea of DeepSeek being a black swan event,
Yeah.
which one of the articles mentioned.
Mhm.
Can you explain what that means?
So a black swan event is this term coined by the essayist Nassim Nicholas Taleb
Okay.
to describe an event that's unpredictable and has a massive impact.
Okay.
It's like, imagine something completely unexpected happens
Right.
and it totally shakes things up.
Yeah.
And some analysts are saying that DeepSeek's success could be just that,
Wow.
a black swan event
Okay.
that disrupts not just the AI market,
Mm-hmm.
but potentially the global stock market.
And even like U.S. tech dominance as a whole.
That's a bold claim.
Yeah.
What evidence do these analysts have to suggest DeepSeek could have such a wide-reaching impact?
Okay.
So any way to know if this is a real threat or just overblown speculation?
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Think of NVIDIA's stock price as a kind of truth detector.
Okay.
The market, with all its collective wisdom,
Yeah.
will show us whether DeepSeek is the real deal or just a flash in the pan.
Okay.
If investors really believe that DeepSeek is going to take away NVIDIA's market share, we'll see that reflected in NVIDIA's stock price.
So we need to keep a close eye on NVIDIA's stock and see if investors start getting nervous.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. But what other indicators should we be watching?
Well, NVIDIA's upcoming earnings report is going to be a key thing to watch. It's scheduled for next week, and I think you'll find their management's comments really interesting.
Yep.
Like, listen closely to what they say about competitive threats. Like, are they even acknowledging DeepSeek? Do they seem worried at all?
Right.
And then see how NVIDIA's stock does in the weeks after the report.
Okay.
That reaction is going to tell us a lot about how the market's feeling about this.
Okay, so we're looking at what NVIDIA says and how the market reacts.
Exactly.
It's like a two-part test
Right.
for DeepSeek's impact.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that really struck me in these articles
What's that?
was just how quickly DeepSeek developed their latest model.
Oh, yeah.
One article mentioned that they only spent like $5.6 million over just 2 months.
Yeah.
That's crazy fast and cheap
Right.
compared to what we've seen from other companies.
For sure.
Like Google and Microsoft have been pouring billions into AI development.
Exactly.
So how is DeepSeek doing this with such limited resources?
Right.
It really makes you question what's actually needed to be competitive in AI.
It does.
And then there's this other layer of intrigue. There's some conflicting info about what kind of hardware DeepSeek's actually using.
Right.
Some reports say they're relying on those less powerful chips, like the NVIDIA H800, while others suggest they've somehow gotten their hands on those more advanced H100s,
Yeah.
which is weird considering those U.S. export restrictions.
It is a bit of a mystery.
Right.
It makes you wonder about their supply chain
Yeah.
and whether those export restrictions are actually working.
Right.
But it also shows DeepSeek's resourcefulness. Like they're finding ways to innovate even when things are tough.
Yeah, I mean, stepping back for a second,
Sure.
what do you think this whole thing means for the future of AI, especially for companies like Google and Meta,
Yeah.
who've invested so much in building their own proprietary models?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
If DeepSeek can keep disrupting things with their cheap and open source models,
Right.
could all that money that U.S. companies have spent
Yeah.
end up being wasted?
It's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
Remember economist Ed Yardeni?
Yeah.
He was quoted in one of these articles talking about how DeepSeek's success
Right.
could impact U.S. earnings reports.
Exactly.
We're talking about companies like Google, Meta, Microsoft.
Yeah.
All of them have been spending a ton
Right.
to keep up in this AI arms race.
It's true.
So you're saying that if DeepSeek's approach takes off,
Yeah.
it could really squeeze those profit margins for those big tech companies,
It could.
especially if their AI revenue doesn't grow fast enough
Right.
to justify all that spending.
Yeah. That's something investors need to think about,
Right.
especially those who've been riding that AI hype wave.
But I'm also thinking about the potential upside here.
Okay.
Didn't one of the articles suggest that
Mm.
DeepSeek might actually push U.S. companies to innovate even faster?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Competition can be a great motivator.
Right.
One analyst from Raymond James even said that DeepSeek could light a fire under those U.S. companies.
Make them even more determined
Right.
to use the latest NVIDIA GPUs and stay ahead of the game.
So it's a double-edged sword.
It is.
DeepSeek could either expose weaknesses
Yeah.
in how those U.S. tech giants are doing things,
Right.
or it could force them to step up their game.
Exactly.
It's pretty fascinating.
It is.
But let's zoom out a bit.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about the impact on companies,
Yeah.
but what about the bigger picture?
Right.
The AI landscape as a whole.
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
One of the key takeaways from these articles is that DeepSeek could change the balance of power in AI.
Okay.
Traditionally, the U.S. has been the leader in AI
Right.
research and development. I mean,
Yeah.
but DeepSeek's rise suggests that we might be moving towards a more multipolar AI world,
Okay.
with China becoming a serious player.
So the global AI race is heating up,
It is.
and DeepSeek's just adding fuel to the fire.
Right.
But what does this mean for the average person?
How might this shift in AI power affect our lives?
That's something we should all be thinking about.
Yeah.
If DeepSeek's open source approach really takes off,
Right.
it could lead to a huge increase in AI applications
Mm-hmm.
across all sorts of industries.
Okay.
Imagine a world where anyone can use those cutting-edge AI tools.
Right.
Not just a select few.
Yeah.
Businesses, researchers, even individuals all over the world.
It's like that democratization of AI we were talking about.
Yeah,
But on a global scale,
exactly.
it could really spark innovation and progress
It could?
like we've never seen before.
Right.
It's exciting,
Yeah.
but also a little daunting.
It is.
I mean, there are potential downsides too, right?
Of course.
A more competitive AI landscape could bring new challenges.
Yeah.
But one thing's for sure.
What's that?
The future of AI is getting more complex
Yeah.
and interconnected.
Definitely.
And DeepSeek's emergence is a sign of things to come.
It is.
Look, we're at a crossroads with lots of different paths ahead.
Right.
We have to navigate this new territory carefully and thoughtfully.
For sure.
That's why I love these deep dives.
Me too.
We get to really explore these complex issues and try to understand this rapidly changing world.
Absolutely.
Now, going back to DeepSeek's open source strategy, there's a lot to unpack there.
So with open source, DeepSeek's basically inviting developers and researchers all over the world to kind of contribute to their platform.
Right.
It's like they're crowdsourcing AI innovation. They're using this global network of brain power to speed things up.
Got it.
And it's completely different from what companies like OpenAI are doing. They've kept their models pretty much locked up, proprietary.
So DeepSeek's like, hey, let's all work together
Yeah.
to figure out this whole AI thing.
Exactly.
But isn't there some risk to open sourcing something as powerful as AI?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, could people misuse it?
Yeah, that's a valid concern.
Right.
I think one of the biggest worries is that open sourcing these models makes it easier for bad actors, malicious actors to exploit them.
Right.
There's also the risk of the tech being used in ways it wasn't intended for, which could have unpredictable and maybe even harmful consequences.
It's like giving everyone this powerful tool, but not knowing what they'll do with it.
Exactly.
It's exciting, but also kind of scary.
It is.
Yeah.
It definitely shows how important it is to think about ethics and responsible development in AI.
Yeah.
But a lot of experts believe that the good that can come from open source AI outweighs the risks.
So it's like a calculated risk.
Yeah.
You're betting that ultimately the good will win out.
I think so.
It sounds like DeepSeek's not the only one doing this open source thing, though.
You're right. We're seeing more and more movement towards open source AI.
Okay.
With organizations like Meta really taking the lead.
So DeepSeek's part of a bigger trend.
Yeah.
That's changing AI. Okay.
And it's a trend that could democratize AI, speed up innovation, and bring people together to work on it globally.
We've covered a lot today.
We have.
We talked about DeepSeek coming out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Their focus on being cost-effective and open source, how they might affect big players like NVIDIA, and what it all means for the global AI landscape.
It's been a fascinating deep dive.
It has.
And it's clear that the DeepSeek story isn't over yet.
Right.
We got to keep watching to see what happens.
Oh, yeah.
Especially that NVIDIA earnings report coming up.
For sure. So as we wrap this up, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Okay.
If DeepSeek is like this new wave of AI innovation, what other surprises might be out there? Like what other DeepSeek-like companies or technologies could shake things up in the next few years?
It's an exciting time to be following AI.
It is.
Things are moving so fast.
Yeah.
And the possibilities are endless. Who knows what amazing breakthroughs are just around the corner.
That's what I love about it.
Me too.
The future of AI is wide open.
Yeah.
Just waiting to be explored.
Totally.
And we'll be here with you every step of the way.
Right here with you.
Diving deep into the coolest and most important developments.
And coolest for sure.
In this ever-changing field.
Definitely.
So stay curious.
Stay engaged.
And stay tuned.
The AI revolution's just getting started.
Thanks for joining us for this special deep dive.
Thanks, everyone.
And please don't forget to like and